We're in a Think Big session. We had our first meeting before the holiday. So just to kind of recap what these are for and what we're hoping to get out of these. Can you all see my screen? Okay. I'm going to assume yes. Sorry. You all have a link to this. It's our Think Big Release Management Agenda. And we're hoping to bring in a little bit more of the vision product roadmap conversations to our technical teammates, but also improve partnership and forward-looking vision between design, UX, research, and engineering. So that's what these Think Big sessions are for. Last meeting, we talked a little bit about some of the 10 years, 3 years, 1 year horizon, where we want release management to go, a little bit about target market. And I think from that conversation, I distilled 2 direction items that I'd like us to start having conversations about and potentially doing some tech debt reviews on, or thinking what is truly the minimal viable thing that we can do to make this possible in GitLab. So those 2 items are building up our secrets management philosophy with HashiCorp Vault. And then the second one is improving environment variable management and really environment management in general. So I'm happy to start with environments because I feel like this is a little bit more in our own control. As it's within GitLab, we don't have to worry about like a partner or building an integration with an external party. So I think from my perspective, I have a lot of issues and bugs in the backlog regarding the experience with environments. And I also have a lot of issues that were created by Mark around how environments are expected to behave based off of how our competitors are using variables. I would love to hear your guys' perspectives and what you think we should do as far as kicking off a experience research for environments management.
I'm sorry, Jackie, do you have an Epic or any place where we can see the issues or things that are related to it? Yes.
So all of these up here are going to be like our housed epics that we have currently planned. But I think from my view, these epics might not really be relevant, as I don't know if we've ever talked about it as a group, what we think we should be doing with environments. But this is one of them, variables and secrets management. This has a lot of secrets management content in it. Make environments easier to use and manage. These are probably the 2 primary epics that house both of these concepts.
When you talk about environment variables, is this separate from the environment or the variables that get injected into the CI builds, like the CI variables?
Those are one and the same, from my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like there's like the settings CI/CD page. There's a variables section. That's kind of the section we're talking about.
Right.
Okay.
So what
that I know in particular, like just with my own experience, that the UI of that section is really kind of clunky. Like it doesn't work well on small screens, and it's like a very common use case is inputting a really big string into the value, the variable value field, and it doesn't really expand nicely. So there's a lot of little UX improvements that could make that grid a lot nicer to use just in its current state. So that'd be my first thought on that.
Yeah, this overlaps with the item we were discussing yesterday during the PM UX thing, that Verify already started working on this, I think 8 months ago. And they have a proposal for improving the UI UX of that page, because as far as I know, and as far as what I have worked on this issue, we didn't really look into what's next. So we just added the type of variables, and then that was it. But like we know now, that are going to continuously iterate on this page. So like what I said yesterday, I think it's valuable to look at what the Verify team is doing and if their proposal still meets kind of our expectations for this.
Yeah, so I just linked the issue there, the one that you're referencing. So it's the CI/CD environment variable scope to specific environment pipeline job. This issue title doesn't really reflect, I think, what's happening inside this issue. But just like what Hayana was saying, there's this greater UX proposal on the Verify team side that I'm trying to understand, is the Verify team going to execute against it, or if we're going to execute against it. So I'm waiting for if Verify is going to be implementing it. So I'll confirm on that. But this is a really great example of like a really big project that we can undertake that would improve the experience. But going back to kind of like Nathan's view, do you think, Hayana, that a lot of those problems would be addressed with this proposal?
I think some of them. Let me see, which issues can you go up to so I can see the title? Yeah. You mean the proposal from Verify, right?
Yeah, that's this one.
Yeah, this one. I think it will solve a lot of our usability problems, but I'm not familiar with the full scope for this feature. So I would say maybe it's best to look into what the proposal have now and what are the pieces that are missing.
Okay. Would you want to put that as something for 12.8, or I'm not sure what's the bandwidth on that?
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Do we also want to do the job to be done exercise, the scorecards?
That's kind of what I was, what I put up here is I feel like that might be the best approach for us to really gauge if that proposal will even satisfy everything. I'm worried that we're only taking what's been given to us from some other team, and then if we start implementing it, it might not actually address all the things that we're needing to execute against. So when I think about environment variables, it touches a lot of different personas. It goes throughout the entire CI/CD process. It's not just release. So I'm curious on how we think we can approach that better. How do you want to go about scheduling this job to be done, Hayana? If this is your area?
We are now in 12.7, right?
Yeah.
How many days do we have left for 12.7? My God.
Because this job's to be done, I think, will then feed into whatever research request we would want to make in 12.9. And then any engineering work we'd want to render and scope in 13 or 12.10. I'm not sure on how you guys sequence out those releases once they get to multiple.
Do we even have enough information to know what the job to be done is? And I only ask because I'm like, I wonder if this is like a research thing, like we need to go and talk to people or observe people, or I don't know.
I'm trying to look into what Dimitri's proposal is based on, if they did any research or if he validated this.
I think, Lori, we have some assumptions on from the documentation on who's using environment variables. So that would be the jobs to be done.
That's an assumption.
That we could go back and like validate on those workflows.
But here's the thing, if you're validating an assumption and that assumption happens to be wrong, you're validating something that's not kosher. Yeah, I mean, at least that gives us a place to start. So I feel like what we have to actually do is you need to go validate those assumptions to make sure that we're in the right direction, or look at Dimitri's work to see if he did talk to people. If he talked to people, I'm good. If he didn't, then I have a little bit of concern about the validity of it.
I do too. I don't really want to just take Dimitri's proposal and execute it along from our team side. I would much rather, but if Verify feels like they want to implement changes because they are confident in that, then I'm okay. Your team can do that, but I'm not sure about our team executing against that.
But a lot of what Dimitri's is addressing is, I don't think there's much debate about it. Like, the input field isn't in alignment with the data that's going into the input field, right? A certificate doesn't fit there. And, you know, there are some things in there that are definitely like, they are problems. And I do see this as a solution. I'm not saying we don't need to do any verification, but there is some of this that is
pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
And
that's fair.
That kind of goes to what Nathan was saying, which is like the UI is clunky and long strings aren't easy to implement. Like if we're just trying to use a field as it would be intended for entering in a variable, regardless of whether or not that variable is an assumed length or an assumed size, you should be able to enter in any type of variable.
Yeah, and I think that this issue, the improved UX, really hits on that side of it, right? Cleaning up the UI of it. I think where we do need to do the jobs to be done in the research is around like, where are we going with this? Is this, if we clean up the UI, is that enough? Or could this section be utilized in bigger and better ways?
I agree that, yes, completely. That we should be thinking about in the jobs to be done, where does environment variables and environment management play, and where can we accomplish more with it?
Yeah, and it might help to think about the jobs to be done as something they need to accomplish, not necessarily using our UI at all. It's, here's my task, I need to do this thing, and I need to do it because it's going to make my life easier or whatever. And then we need to take that as an abstract and then look to see how can our systems support that. Almost UI agnostic, like not to think about the UI immediately.
Yeah, I agree completely. Well, I think when we did our first round of jobs to be done, we kind of focused on like, what is the experience of using our UI? But I don't think that's what we need here. What we need here is the more traditional jobs to be done of like, what am I trying to accomplish in my life that happens to touch this area?
So for example, in one use case of our variables are to use that to contain secrets. And that is actually a problem because it's perceived in the market as not being secure. So what we'd want to solve, the job to be done, is as a DevOps personnel, I want to make sure that my CI and CD are as secure as possible. So I want to leverage secrets management rather than environments variables. And this is where we then need to think of the flow of which we would then convert secrets that are housed in environment variables and transition them to something like Vault. So from a research side, Lori, do you think some prerequisites would just be to understand what people are currently complaining about environments in addition to understanding what we're expecting to solve with environments?
I think I would focus more on what are they trying to do? What is the goal? What's their job as it relates to the environments? What do they use it for? What can't they use it for? And that's where the I have trouble with this, I don't like this doesn't do this kind of falls into. That's what I would focus on to try to get that. And then out of that, your jobs to be done will come right out of that.
Right. Okay. So Nathan, I would be curious on your perspective of this UX team proposal as well. If you wouldn't mind taking a look at that and just adding any comments that maybe we're missing.
Perfect. Yep, I can do that.
Thank you.
And that improved UX issue, are you guys able to see
these ones?
Yeah, right, they're gone. So I keep looking at this issue going, all right, well, let's see what, but it doesn't seem to be there.
I think I just noticed it looked like this this issue was migrated when we did that switch. I saw the link was to GitLab-FOSS. So I wonder if we could go find probably in the original one that was not migrated, those links worked.
Yes, it's this one.
It's working as well, but you can click on the specs. There's a link. That you always put if you scroll up a little bit, there's the diamond emoji.
Oh, in the FOSS issue?
No, yeah, there in the description.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So specs. This is terrible. Sorry, I just lost it. Okay. So one problem that I'm hearing when I talk to customers is that I don't want to deploy my Kubernetes clusters using GitLab because of this perception that GitLab isn't secure. And a big part of that is the environment variable management. And I think I'll just open up an issue for us to kind of talk about that a little bit more openly, as there's going to be a couple of ways that we can approach solving that. Again, partnership with Vault may help that, but then there's this whole host of customers that are using secrets within GitLab housed in environment variables that aren't worried about this security issue. So I wouldn't want to position this as you have to migrate from environment variables because GitLab is insecure. So I want us to kind of think about how do we want to position environment variables and then suggest using other things for more confidential information. That way we can help strengthen the perception in the market for GitLab security, especially around CI/CD. Do you guys have any thoughts or opinions on that?
I mean, it is an incorrect perception, right? It is. I mean, do we know that it's perception, or is there evidence that folks are pointing to that there possibly are vulnerabilities, or is it really just a perception problem?
So from a regulated industry view, it's not as refined in how you would use, like, for example, the T-Mobile gave, I think we're recording this, damn it, sorry, a customer referenced that they can't use GitLab to deploy their super secure Kubernetes clusters because they have to use the GitLab root user to execute all the commands. And in order to do that, that permission level would be exposed to everybody in the company that would be deploying. And that permission level is not acceptable for them. So they don't deploy using GitLab. And then there's this other, in a different financial services customer view, they don't like that you can expose variables and everyone can see them, even if they are masked. So they want to be able to like hide secrets and hide those confidential pieces of information and never be exposed to a user. But those are like portions of an industry that have those requirements for more granular control over their secrets. When we look at like audit controls and security across a wide array of industries, those requirements might not be needed. Does that answer your question?
It does. Yeah, and I think that's I think that kind of drives the kind of questions we need to start thinking about, right? To me, that is like, what is the real underlying problem here? Because yeah, we can clean up the UI, but that last one about, you just might want them gone. That might be a different approach.
Okay. So I think we have some good action items to take forward, analysis on environments and what we'd want to do with them. Hyana, I'll kind of partner with you to get this Verify team UX proposal researched. Like, do we think that it's valid enough? Do we feel like we have enough customer input for it to be executed against? And then if our team is going to do it or not. And then Nathan, again, would love your thoughts on that too. I'll open up an issue around the perception of security deploying with GitLab. And I might use our compliance and release epic just to house that, because compliance is going to be a part of this story too. And I think that's about it. After we do the research for the UX proposal, I think we'll start approaching if we need to open up a research issue to understand what people are doing with environments and have that then feed what our jobs to be done are. Make sense? Okay. Was this useful, or what can make this better next time?
Some music, maybe.
Okay. This is going to be good.
I thought it was good. I like having a good kind of overview of the vision. It's a lot, helps me when I'm kind of in the weeds on certain issues.
Yeah, I would like to, this is more personal, but I'd like to see this against the roadmap to have an idea of where this fits in the bigger plan. Visual.
Okay. This is actually like way upstream of any roadmap. Where I would see this coming to fruition would probably be at the end of 2020 into 2021. So we're like starting super far in advanced, and then we'd schedule like quick win issues that we know we need to fix to improve immediate, immediate needs of our customers. But to my view, I think environments aren't being leveraged as powerfully as they can be. And I think also we could build a really strong executive dashboard using something like environments. And this executive dashboard would be something very sexy to sell in our market, and it would really open up a great potential for us. So going into this, I want us to think about not only the user experience of interacting with variables, with secrets, with environments, but how is somebody who is purchasing GitLab that wants to verify that we're going back to their ROI as a business and that we're contributing to the success of their organization with something like environments. So like that's the big overarching like guidance here is how can we empower our customers to use our tool to see that they're getting the return on their investment. And the way you can do that is by saving time in their teams, by providing the quality of information out of the tool in an easy way, and then by being a really great partner with them and building the shit that they want to have built. So we have to maybe address the user concerns with the UX Verify team proposal, and then kind of rethink about how does the environments and operations dashboard play with the environments layout, and what can we do with environment variables to span the entire CI/CD workspace, so that when sales goes to market, they're able to come in with something that's really compelling and differentiating. But I agree, I can position this a little bit more clearly against the roadmap and vision. So I'll do that better next time. Lori, what do you feel like I could do better in this meeting to help make this a little bit richer?
I was wondering if we could have links or anything to any existing stuff that had happened before, especially for this stuff, since we're sharing it across teams. It might be helpful to have those links in there because I could have reviewed Dimitri's stuff. I didn't know he was doing anything.
And I didn't realize those were
like
going to be so related, but that's helpful.
Yeah, and I think anything else, like links to anything else that would help, like, or like to tell us who are the people who would be working with us on these things. Because I know Dimitri, but you know, as the team grows, it's going to be harder and harder to figure out who are the people who we need to work with. So that might be helpful too. But otherwise, I thought it was great.
Got it. I'll ask Tim on how he sets up his meetings too, since he's I think one of the other PMs that are running this. His when I read his agendas, they're always so like rich with actionable content. So I'm wondering what he's doing to get that kind of result. Not that ours isn't. It's just from outside looking in, it's just look different. All right, perfect. Well, let me know if you guys need anything. Feel free to add items to the agenda, and then Hyana, I'll ping you for us to in our one-on-one, I guess, this week to kind of talk a little bit about this UX proposal and what that means for our Think Big and scheduling.
Perfect. And I pinged Dimitri in private to ask if he did any research or if he validated anything with users. So I'll post in the UX CI/CD when he answers.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. We'll have our next one in the week after next. So talk to you guys soon.
Bye. Thank you.